Yes, I can see
Okay.
that you're recording now.
Ah, okay, that's good. So at least there's no surprises on your side. So yeah. So Rowena, as we were saying, we were talking about this thing that we are doing, this program that we feel that uh, we're we want to do something like this, and we have always wanted to do something, but we just didn't know what that something was. But I'm speaking for myself. I can't speak for you, but I speak for myself. Is that I want to do something, but it's just I don't know. Maybe not the right time. Maybe not the right person to do it. So that's why this is happening, right? So I'm
Yes.
really happy it's coming together.
Oh, I'm excited about this because I have wanted to do something. So when I hear you talk, it's just like really surprising because there seems to be so much alignment and similarity in some of our experiences, making me go, "What? What's going on?" But I have been wanting to do something like this, and I think it's just timing and also just the flow of where you are in your career and what else you're doing. Because although I wanted to do something like this before, I wasn't quite aware of the shape and form that it should take or can take. And I was struggling with it for a long time. I knew what I wanted to do, but I didn't know how best to do it. And so it's pretty exciting to now, even though we're very much in the early stages of putting this together, it's taking shape a lot quicker for me in terms of
Mm.
knowing what it is that we want to do and having a very clear idea about the audience that we want to support. So yeah,
Yeah. So
exciting.
yeah. So this is exciting, but it's also a little bit scary, right? I mean, let's be
Of
honest.
course.
It is scary. It is
It
scary. I
is.
mean,
It
anything
is.
that you want to embark upon.
Of course. Yeah, because you don't really know. I mean, it's about understanding, the excitement, but also knowing the amount of work that needs to go into it and having the patience as well, because you need to do what you need to do, but then you also have to be patient, give yourself time, build in rest, and then you've got to do the work of putting it out there
Yeah.
because it's clear in your brain, right? What you want to do, who you want to do it for, what it's going to look like, how the whole thing will unfold, but others don't. And so you have to go out there and convince them and tell that story, and hopefully they see, what you see. I mean, we're living in a distracted world. Probably have to do an elevator pitch with everyone, like 30 seconds. What is it?
Yeah, yeah. But I'm glad that even after the conversations we had, I mean, we have many similar thoughts about what we wanted to do, and coming together to do it, I think, was that little switch in our heads that turned on, right? Like, because doing it by ourselves would probably be a little overwhelming because of so much that's involved. And of course, the expectations of what we want to offer and how other people like what other people expect, right? Coming into this program with us individually, but doing it together with someone who, I would say, your communications background and the work you've done, and the work that each of us individually has done, I think we kind of complement each other nicely in that way. So that's why I feel that doing it by myself, it's possible, but it's also a lot more fun doing it with other people like you versus like I'm trying to do it by myself. And so I think this is the right time, and I feel that this is why we're coming together to do this. And it may take a little bit more time in the planning process. And I know Rowena, you want it to be a little bit more like ready before we actually show it to the world. So this is actually a big step for you. Even
Yes.
doing this video itself is a big step.
It is because I'm the sort of person, I just need to know what it is that I want to say and know what I want to share, and always keeping in mind, where's the value in this. So when you're kind of planning it and still very much in development, then there's a little bit of worry as to, am I going to get that messaging out right? Are people going to be patient? But I also love the idea of taking people on a journey and letting them see behind the scenes what that process looks like. Because if it means that other people can see their own emotions reflected back at them, can see the similarity in the kind of struggles that we face in putting stuff together, then it means that we all better understand that there's lots that keep us united and keep us understanding that it's all part of the human experience. We're all in this
Yeah.
together. We're all doing similar
Yeah.
things, and
So
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 you're not alone.
I'm the one I'm the one who actually made you come into this video and say, let's film this even as we are discussing and talking about it. And to me, and
Yes,
I know that that itself is a new experience for you, as it is a new experience for me. But I feel that in today's world, sometimes we need to really pull back the curtains and show people, like what you say, right? Show people that as
yeah,
we are building it, it is not like a perfect process immediately. Like we have, we have it nailed down every single step, but we know the destination. And now we're figuring, okay, what are the steps to get us to that destination? So one of the things that
mm,
we did, and I think the interesting part about this experimental process that we did was we sent out messages to some of the people in our networks and asked them basically one question, right? Like if were we had such a program, would they consider joining or what are their thoughts about it? And we had a number of very interesting responses. So,
yes.
Rowena, on your side, what
Well,
would you say
well,
about your context?
yeah. So I'll preface this by saying, giving people who may be coming to this for the first time by saying that we are currently working on developing and running a 4-week online group coaching program. That's what we're doing. It's for women professionals, entrepreneurs, business owners, right? We want to help them to become more confident and more visible online so that it opens up more opportunities, whether it's speaking gigs or collaborations, more business, more clients, anything like that. And so we've got a couple of ideas about how we want to do this. And we decided to reach out to our network and just ask them, tell them exactly what I just shared and say, what do you think? Is this the kind of thing that you would like to be involved in? Is that something you might have joined earlier in your journey? So they don't really have, the people that we spoke to don't really have the full idea. They just have exactly that 4-week online group coaching. This is what we want to do. And some of the feedback that I've gotten has been very encouraging because the ideas I'm getting is that it it would help them. So I have not actually had anybody say not interested, but they give me additional feedback about making sure that I've got the audience right, making sure that it is really catered to entrepreneurs. Um, one of the things someone said was, in my opinion, we might be looking at two different things. If you're not very sure about the audience, you could be having two different things, and sometimes a more specific audience can be good for a better learning outcome when everyone can learn from each other. So I listened to that feedback and I thought that was great, but I also, as I go through this process of getting feedback, I'm reminded of an idea that I have, which is that before I go out and get feedback on anything that I'm working on or that I care about, something that matters a lot to me, something that I may be emotionally invested in or emotionally affected by, I make sure that I have my own thoughts on it first. And that is because if you don't know where you stand on something and you go out and get feedback, you could be swayed by that feedback. I mean, you can still be swayed even if you know, but at least that clarity is already there in terms of where you stand on something. And I think that's really important when you're dealing with challenging issues, contentious issues, or where you really undecided. Like, at least go in before you ask for someone's opinion and know what you think about it. So that's when I started going out and asking people, it brought me back to, well, what do I think about this program and what am I hoping to achieve? So that when someone says something that I may not necessarily agree with, I already can kind of figure out how to navigate that, if that makes sense. Although now thinking about it, it makes it sound like I might just kill ideas that I don't like. But I do feel that there is value in knowing what you think because
Yeah.
of the fact that you can be very swayed when you don't know. and the emotion in relation to the thing can kind of play havoc.
Yeah. I totally agree, because if we just went out there clueless, right, without having prior discussions or prior conversations about what we want to do in this 4 week program, we would definitely be swayed, right? Because people will start sharing with us their ideas of a program that they might like.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, maybe we could do something like that. But because we already, well, we can't say 100% is there, but we have an idea what it is for us that we want to do, which is a 4 week online program with a very tangible win for the person or the participant or the person, joining us on this journey. At least we know what it is. And then when we go out to get the information, I think the information adds on to what we already have been thinking out loud. But maybe we kind of feel that, well, it's just us, right, in our heads, right, thinking about what a great program if we had a program like this. But having other people come back to us and excitedly tell us that they wish they had such a program when they were starting out, or some even my respondents told me that they never even considered such a program until I asked them. And for me, I think that's a good aha moment for them as well, because it means that now they are starting to think, oh, maybe I could be part of a program like this. So prior to this, if I never asked that question, they would have never even bothered to think of an online coaching program. And they were always looking for maybe a physical conference, an in-person conference, in-person one-day workshop. Something that, while I agree that workshops can be great for people, sometimes I feel like even as a workshop attendee, I want some follow-up. I want something that gives me a little bit more after the workshop. So that's where I think that what we have in mind is something really catered for the both of us, right? I mean, we kind of think of it like, wow, if I had a program, I mean, it's short enough, but meaty enough for us to do something rather than just, okay, it's a 1 day workshop, we're done, right? 9 to 5, done. But then after that, what happens if I have questions? What if I have like the fear of doing it? Because I think part of the tangible win is also this. We want to help them get to a result. And some of the results could be, as we mentioned, land more speaking gigs, become more visible, have people recognize them for their expertise. And so while we look at these outcomes, we also want to know that it is bite-sized enough for them to achieve that outcome rather than such a huge thing that they themselves feel that they could never get to that point, in their lives that they want to achieve something. So for us, even I think we probably need to break it out into something like a little bit more concrete for them, even though we say being visible is a huge thing, right? Being visible is huge. But being visible maybe on LinkedIn, and what does being visible mean? And I was thinking about this even as I was reading a book last night, and this book talked about validating uh, your concepts. So one of the things that I suddenly had an idea is that we could actually put some hard data, even as they are crossing certain what you call key milestones or milestones. For instance, like just say somebody says, I want to get more visible. Does that mean you want to get more, like maybe 100 new connections on LinkedIn? Is that what it means? Or 100 connections from the C-suite? Or is it having a post get 1,000 impressions? So I think even having those like hard data can be equally interesting for the person who's doing the work, right? Because if you're doing the work and you say, okay, being visible, yeah, it's such a nebulous concept. But if I can say, break it down into, can you comment on 5 people's posts today on LinkedIn? Or can you, reach out or DM someone, maybe 5 people today, and see how that see how that assignment or that homework, we call it, where that takes you. I think they can probably see a little bit of progress rather than just focus on the big goal of, okay, get visible on LinkedIn, for instance.
Yeah, those are good points. I was just making some notes. So one of the things that I have really focused on in the last couple of years is understanding that it takes time to work on stuff. And so what we want this program to deliver is tangible tangible returns, as you have mentioned, which is of course going to be different from one person to the next. And that is exciting because it means they can look at themselves and go, what are the specifics around what I need? It's that, 5 or 50 connections with CEOs, or having 1,000 impressions on a post. Um, and that's where the program is going to be unique, or maybe there are already programs that have that, but thinking about what are the tangible wins that they get out of the program. So we don't want to have a program where you just come and you attend, or you just download information. This is going to be very much uh, interactive, and you have to engage. You are co-creating in a way. You're building the thing that you want. What makes it different is that we can't do it in a day. And so, this is not meant to be. That's the reason why it's 4 weeks. We know that we need time and space to process what are some of the things that we're working towards, understanding that these are women who have been having these challenges for some time, because if they weren't, they wouldn't be where they are, right? So they are struggling with getting out there or delivering certain things. And so understanding that that process is uncomfortable, but they can now sit with it. There's now a safe space where they have other people also on that similar journey. So you feel that, you're part of a community and you can kind of lean on each other. And that makes it good because you don't have to feel like you're doing this alone, and you're doing this with other people, and there's a little bit of hand holding, in the sense that there are people who can provide you with resources, who can give you feedback, who can kind of guide you. And that's where I think it's really useful that we have that experience behind the things that we're doing, and we uh, that experience is there, but also the visibility about that experience is there as well. Because we can have that experience, but if we're not known for these things, then there's the question of, authenticity, and whether or not, can these two women deliver what it is I'm hoping for, which, I'm positive and feel encouraged about it. But yeah, I think all those things that you said, and just knowing that I want to give people what, like the program that we are working on is the kind of program that I would want to go for. And I believe that's the kind of program you would want. Did not have that experience, did not have that opportunity. But I love the fact that now I get to create it, and hopefully others can then have that access. So in a way, I use myself as the yardstick of, is this something I would want? Is this something that I would appreciate? What if I get all of these takeaways, does that work for me? And I understand that we're all different and with different objectives, but if I can satisfy myself in the development of my program, I'm hoping that that means, and you can do the same with the contributions you're making towards this co-creation, then I think it's our belief that it will then meet many others. And that's also partly why we're kind of making this available, this behind the scenes look, because
Yeah.
then you get to come along on that journey with us as we're
You
doing
get to
this.
see that here we are, two women, who decided to do this, and it's not like something we planned like a long time ago. We had a couple of conversations. We felt that it was really the right time. And as we were planning, as I was thinking about the program, I was thinking to myself, like, when you have, and we remember we did that, we had a Google Doc and we put down all the questions we had to answer. Okay, so this is the process for people who are thinking of doing something together with another person, a collaborator, a partner. And Rowena and I can speak of the many partnerships that didn't go right. Right? I mean, in our businesses, in the things that I've done, there were many things that didn't go right. So we are actually learning from our experience. We learned that it is always good to start with a document like a Google Doc, where we can put down questions so that we can clarify our own thinking, before we even jump into creating anything. Because I think without the clarity of that document with the questions like why are we doing, I think the biggest question for me was why are we doing this, right? Why are we doing this program? We could be spending our time doing other things, right? Like Rowena, you could be spending time with your family, doing more, sports, doing more of what you do. But why is it that we decided to come together to do this? Is because we figured that given that what we know, and we know that it's not an easy, okay, so let's put it out there that it's not an easy thing to get visibility. Can we say that? Can we say that,
Yeah, of course.
for a
We
fact?
definitely. Yep.
It's not easy to get visibility. We know that it is a journey of getting to your visibility goal. And because we know that, we realize that there are things that I've learned in my own journey. There are things that Rowena has learned in her journey. And we can put our heads together, put our brains together, combine our efforts, and share that so that whoever who is coming along in this journey with us will feel that these are not two women who are just talking about it. And because this is what we also went through, right? We just don't like the theoretical stuff. I mean, there are some people who can just tell you how to do it, but they've never really done it, or they've never done even 50% of what they advise others to do. So for me, that is a big no-no. I always believe that you have to have some practical advice, experience backing you up so that when you teach with authority because you've done it. Because somebody can come and say, you're asking me to do this. Have you done it? And I think for myself and Rowena, we can safely say, yes, we've done it. Okay, we've done it. We can show you the mistakes we've made too. But at the same time, we can also show you the things that we've done that went really well. And looking back at the things that we've done really well, we can share from those experiences and we can really take those, well, we can dissect those, whatever we've done, and make it more understandable for other people who may be coming into this journey early. So you may be in your 30s and in a career, or you may be, a business owner, a new business owner, a solopreneur, a freelancer, someone who just got into a business recently, and you're figuring and asking yourself like where, how and where and what, where do you start, right? So I guess that's where Rowena and I decided, let's pay this forward, right? Let's pay it forward. Let's put whatever that we know, our experiences, the things that we've done in our careers, in our business, can we pay it forward? Can we do this and help other women? Well, it will not be like, it's not a guarantee. So I will also say that it's not a guarantee that just because you follow Rowena's step by step, just because you follow Krista's step by step, it's going to be guaranteed success. There is no guarantee of success. I wish I could guarantee success, but I can't. But what I can guarantee you is that we're two women who have done it in a way. I can't say we've like reached the pinnacle of success at doing this, no. But I can say that we have done what we have done in the capacity that we know of. We have helped our clients, we have helped the people around us. But sometimes it's not just enough giving piecemeal advice. It's not just like writing a LinkedIn post. It's not about writing an article. There must be a way for us to really guide that person throughout that process. So at least they get, after the 4 weeks, something that they can say, yes, I think I have done this. I have reached this milestone in my visibility journey, and that has been helpful. And I think the key thing that both you and I are looking for is like, yes, Rowena and Krista, yes, that has been so helpful. Thank you for showing me the step. Thank you for showing me at least a process and a structure to get me there. I think both of us are very structured people. I mean, both of us love our structures and processes and everything else with the step by step. Yeah, so I think that's why we're doing it. So that probably is the reason why both of us are doing this, even as a behind the scenes, open up and share with you the thinking that goes into the program before even the program is launched.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I mean, I love the idea of doing this in the sense that even though it's kind of scary and you're not quite sure where it's going to go, I like the idea of staying true to myself and being authentic and real about the whole thing. Letting people understand that it's all not just, it's not easy, that it's not, it didn't happen immediately. Everything takes time. You know, I am where I am because of the work that I put in, and I put in the work. And I can say it's most definitely the same for you. And I think it helps for people to hear that because then it gives them hope, but also, there's just no shortcuts. One of the things about the program is that you are going to have to we are going to pose hard questions. They are going to be hard questions. They're going to be hard questions because maybe you don't pose those questions enough to yourself. Maybe you don't have the answers, right? And maybe you don't know these questions to pose. Maybe you've been posing different questions to yourself. But these are hard questions because there are no quick and easy answers. And it requires you to kind of stay with the discomfort of, I got to figure this out. I got to figure out what I want, what is my priority. And it's all very easy for people to kind of talk about, I'd love to do this or I'd love to do that, but let's dig into that. Okay, you want to do this. Well, why do you want to do this? And what's motivating you? That requires you to think a little bit more about, do I really want to? I mean, it's a nice to have, but actually, no. If this is the amount of work that it requires, then actually, no, not really, and be honest with yourself. So maybe you might come to the program and have an idea that you want to do all these things, but then as you move further and further down, it might be that you decide that that's not the journey for you. And for me, that is still a good thing. That's still a powerful thing because you leave with clarity, you leave with decisions rather than staying in the realm of what's possible. Because we can all stay in the realm of what's possible. And that's so exciting because I could do this and I could do that. But at some point, you have to actually take action. You actually have to move forward. And that is painful because there's uncertainty, there's doubt, and there's nobody kind of pointing the way. And so what I love about this kind of program is over a period of 4 weeks, you get to be part of a community, small community, but a community, and you can lean on each other, and you're all going through a similar exercise. And just knowing that you're not alone and that you can help, you can get guidance, and also the peer-to-peer support and peer-to-peer learning. It's not about, just tapping into what Krista and I have to offer. It's also about what does everyone else in the room have to offer. And there's not just like a bunch of tactics to be shared. It's digging into the story behind everything because it's the story that creates the connection and the aha moment. And that's when everything kind of falls into place. So that's why you do what you do, or so that's why it makes sense. And when you can connect with that at that emotional level as well, like, of course, everything is cerebral and, we have an understanding of things and the sense behind things. But everything also for things like this, if you want to change your situation, you want to move up in the corporate ladder, you want to get more visibility, there's definitely an emotional aspect to it that gets you from here to there. And that's what we want to tap into. And that's what you can do when you have a program that's 4 weeks long, when you have a small community of people all doing the same thing, then we can all kind of build off each other, learn from each other's mistakes. And that to me is pretty exciting because there are internal struggles and there are external struggles. Even if you internally, you're confident and you know what you need to do and everything else, there's the struggle of there's so much stuff out there. Everybody's posting, and then there's AI, and then there's, millions and millions of people doing similar things. So you've got all of those external struggles. And then there's the internal struggles. So for example, if you don't know what you're doing, or you're kind of confused, or you want to do too much, or you have an unreasonable expectation about how quickly you can get to that place, all of those internal struggles could be holding you back. And we haven't even got to the external struggles. And you can just feel a little bit overwhelmed about, the volume of things that you have to deal with. And that can kind of just make you say, this isn't for me. But maybe it's just about kind of dealing with it in bite-sized chunks and knowing that there's other people going through that. So again, I come back to the fact that, it kind of takes the load off to realize that it's not on me. the whole thing. The program is co-created. We are there to facilitate and we're there to kind of lead the way, but we're all learning from each other and we're all guiding each other, and that's really powerful.
Yeah. And I like that. I like that you um, mentioned that as well, because I think a lot of people come into programs expecting the teacher or the coach to have all the answers. And while I've mentored before, and you've definitely mentored before, we've done our fair share of consulting and teaching people. I think there comes a time where we realize too that we don't have all the answers. I certainly don't have the answers, and I'm still learning. So to come into a program like this and expect that the both of us have all the answers, I think that would be really a big misconception. We're not here to be like the guru, and I hate that word, to be the gurus, right? I mean, I don't want to be a guru.
Yeah,
I'll rather be a
yeah,
guide. So think of myself and Rowena as your guides, but maybe the guides have a little bit more experience than you. We've had our fair share of ups and downs, as well as our internal and external struggles, because we're here on the journey, and we're still on the journey, even as we're
yes,
guiding
exactly.
others. We're
On the
on the
journey.
journey. Yeah, we're still on the journey. We're still doing this every day in our own business for ourselves. But at the same time, we have probably a little bit more, I don't know, maybe a little bit, we hit the wall a couple more times than some people, than most people. So I guess, this is the reason why we're doing it, because we don't want other people to hit the wall like us. It is a painful thing to hit the wall. And so that is where I think to set things in motion, we want to be the guides. We don't want to be your gurus, not your everything like the old wise one sitting on top of the mountain. No, we're not those people. But we want to do this because of this reason, right? To share what we know. But on the other end, I also find it very interesting that there's so many programs that I've been on. I've been women's leadership programs, and I see that a lot of times the magic happens when women start to connect with each other. I think that is where the real magic happens. Whether you're, connecting with a fellow participant, whether you're connecting with the person who's facilitating or guiding the session, there's so much. There's so much that you can really gain. So this is like a side benefit of the program, right? It's not just about coming in to learn how you can create something tangible for yourself, but you also make new friends and you learn from their experiences. And the best part of it is that, have you realized that if when you meet someone, you gain access to a wider network of theirs that you have never even contemplated before, right? So when we're doing this together, like I like when we're posting a LinkedIn, we tag each other all the time, right? Rowena? And your contacts or your network sees my posts. And my networks and my contacts and my connections sees your posts. So it really widens the visibility for everyone. And so this is the most powerful part, right? This network effect that we're talking about. So when we're doing this and in the program when we're doing it, we also think that one of the biggest gains is also the friendship and the network that opens up for everyone, regardless of whether they're in business or they're in a career. And because the world these days seems pretty small, since we all of us are online, it feels like we know each other's friends and each other's contacts, and we can open doors. And I think this is also the other thing I feel like is needs to be stated. We can open doors for other women who come along on this program. So yeah, some things like this that I feel that in programs we never really think that the only thing that we're learning is the what we're signed up for. We learn so much more, right, from the people around us and their networks.
That's a great point. That's very true. You come to a program and you have an expectation of what you're going to get from it, and it's quite limited, right? But yeah, that's a very
Mm.
good point that you can get much more. And what I like about this sort of program is that, you're bringing like-minded people together. And, I've had, I talk to people about building influence. I also have a show where I talk about building influence. And one of the things that I talk about is networking and how people, what is the approach to networking? Because I have a very structured approach where I kind of like think about who are the sorts of people I want to connect with, and how do I reach out so that they are open to hearing from me. And because I've been visible and online and active, I kind of, if they go looking for me, they can get a sense of who I am easily, right? But I can imagine that that is quite a struggle for people who are at the start of their journey, or been very private in the past, that they don't have that set up, because this is the work that I've done to set myself up. And what I've seen is that often when it comes to networking, people don't really have a plan. And I think that leaves too much to chance. When I think about how you can build visibility, I talk about three aspects, building the profile so that that clarity comes across when people look at you. They have a sense of who you are. Why would you not do that nowadays? We have so much that is of our world that is online. We have platforms and apps and so much that's accessible and free that, it wasn't so maybe in the past. So it kind of makes sense for us to like own our profile, own our brand, and also the belief and the knowledge that whether you are building that brand or not, you have one. So might as well figure out what that is and work on it. But then also the networking is a key part. Talk about body work, but then also the networking. So, I feel like it is powerful to go out there and think about who do I want around me and how I can curate that, and how platforms like LinkedIn are so fantastic for enabling that process, because I can go out, I can see who these people are, I can reach out, I can personalize my message, whatever that is, but I can begin to take steps to build a network around myself, which, maybe 20, 30 years ago was a lot harder to do, at least digitally, right? It's all face to face and meet up for coffee. And now you can do so much more. You can do things in a different way, maybe a more effective way that takes into account how busy our lives are. So I like the fact that we are going to also touch on that in our program. It's not just about building visibility. It's about what you said, that it's so much more than just what is in the program. It's the network. And so rather than just only talk about, how to build a network, through the program, they're going to start putting that into action, because they are going to be networking with a bunch of strangers. And in the course of the program, maybe also activating some of those networking strategies with the people in the room, right? Which is like a safer way to do it, a more controlled way, but still an opportunity to kind of put some of these things into play.
Yeah. And as I was saying to a friend of mine, she's in a well, she's in a career right now, but I did tell her, if you build your visibility, it doesn't matter whether you leave this job or you're going to another job. Your visibility stays with you. It's your own hard-earned work, right? You earned it. Like, you could go from company A to company B, and it doesn't really matter, because if you're in a space or a place where you've built enough of that, well, people see you for your expertise, right? You could be going to another job. You could be headhunted. It doesn't matter. But because you know your abilities, you know your value, you know your worth. So it's easier for you, and you don't have to worry, oh, what if I lose this job? What if I quit now? Who's gonna hire me? Who will I reach out to? Because you already have your networks and your connections. You can easily reach out to another person who probably knows you and has seen your profile on LinkedIn, and probably knows of the work that you can do, and it makes the next step a lot easier. So I'm thinking of it, even, from the perspective of my friend who's in a career right now. He may think of leaving, she may want to leave, and what what else is out there for her, right? If she has not built enough of visibility for herself, it's going to be hard. And I have heard people who have been, out of a job for 6 months, a year, and the older you are, the harder it is to get back into the job market. We know this for a fact because people will hire the younger ones because the younger ones are a lot more affordable to hire compared to someone who is already in their 40s, right? But if you have a very, very strong profile, if you have built enough visibility for yourself, it will be a matter of figuring out who can I contact and say, hey, I'm not, in this role anymore. You know, would you consider me for this other role? Or perhaps even the moment that you say, hey, I'm out of this job, or you update your LinkedIn status saying that you're no longer with this company, perhaps other people, headhunters might come knocking on your door and say, hey, I see that, you're no longer in this role. Would you like to try out this other role? So many possibilities. And I'm talking about it, from her perspective as like she's in a career. So it opens up so many things for you if you are able to build it well, right? And so this is something that people don't. People think, oh, right now I'm in need of a job, therefore I will go to LinkedIn and brush up my profile, and therefore I will start knocking on every HR person's door. That's not the right way to do it. I mean, that's the worst way to do it. You sound desperate, and you take any job if you're desperate, right? So to me, I feel that if you start building it now, regardless of whether you want to leave your job or you want to leave for a better role or you want a better job overseas or somewhere else, at least you already have built I would say, build a foundation, done the groundwork. Then that next step will be a lot easier and probably a lot clearer too, right? Then okay, I'm suited for this role. I'm going to go for this kind of roles rather than just, hey, I'm okay right now. I'm right now back in the job market. So it's not going to do very well for you if you think that's the problem I think a lot of people face these days. They can't get a job because they haven't done the actual work on the visibility part. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 2 points on that. So people don't like to be visible because they just focus on the visibility part, right? It's the fact that I'm there and everyone can see me and I'm uncomfortable with the attention. And I get that because I also used to be like that. I am, an introvert and I prefer to be behind the scenes. Yet now I am delivering training. It's 5 days a
Mm,
week on week.
mm,
Go figure. But coming back to visibility, I also like to be behind the scenes. I did not appreciate, going out there and putting myself front and center. But everything changed over the course of time when I realized that I had a message that I wanted to share with others, when I had things that I was advocating for, and in particular helping women understand that they have value that they can communicate. And if they learn how to communicate that value, then they can get to where they want to be. And because I knew the process for how to go about doing that, that passion and the desire to share that message allowed me to get over the fear or get over the discomfort of public speaking or whatever. And that's when I realized, look, if you're just focusing on the visibility aspect, you're not thinking about what you can gain out of it or what purpose you're trying to serve, then that's where it remains and that continues, that discomfort continues. But once you get past that and you're focusing on the bigger picture, what are you trying to work on, what are you trying to achieve, then that takes a bit of a backseat and that helps. That's the first point. The second point is one way in which I help people to understand how to get over that ick feeling is to stop thinking about yourself. So when I go out there, and that's what has helped me to change the kind of content I create, is every time I create content or have a post or whatever I'm putting together, I'm thinking, who am I trying to reach? What am I trying to do this for? What am I hoping that they'll get? And when I have that clarity in mind and I know what the message is, and I keep that throughout as I'm creating that 2-minute video or writing that article, then I don't have that ick anymore because it's not about me, it's about the topic. It's about what issue am I trying to solve? What am I trying to share that could help someone, get an aha moment and go, oh, okay, well, That's interesting. I didn't think of it that way. I'll give that a go. I'll try that. Then you're helping to solve problems, and that's what I'm working to do, solve certain problems. So again, when you start thinking along those lines, you're no longer thinking about you, you're thinking about someone else, and that helps to take the ick away.
Yeah, great points. I like that. And I always say that, I mean, maybe in another way, I always say, like, think about your mission, right? What's your mission? If you have a mission right in front of you, you will write that LinkedIn post, you will write something, or you will share something. It is when you don't have a mission, you're just aimlessly posting because you have to post, or because someone told you, oh, you must show up regularly on LinkedIn, maybe once a week or twice a week. That's where the ick factor comes in. That's where you feel that it is not something doable uh, by your standards, right? So that's where I feel like if you have a mission and you know your mission, it is so much easier to 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 show up whichever platform that you choose to be on. It's easier for you to do the work that you're meant to do. So, Rowena, now that we talked all about this, where are we going for step two? Since you're the structured process person, I'm the all over the place. I'm like, oh, I love experimental stuff. So, Rowena, where are we gonna go with this?
Not
What's our
true.
next
I'm
step
pretty
after
sure you're
this?
structured too. Well, for me, the next step, or rather the step that I'm already working on, is just crafting what that program looks like in terms of, the outline, and kind of working through what each day looks like, what each week looks like first, and kind of working on the activities, the kind of things that people will be working on, and having a very clear idea as to what are the takeaways. Like, so when you come into week one, this is what you're going to get out of it. This is something tangible that you can take away. I will have a LinkedIn profile that's, now perfectly optimized, or I will have developed my elevator pitch, or I'll have an article ready to go published. I want to make sure that people have something tangible, because I don't want them to come into a program where they feel, here's a whole bunch of theory and ideas, and we have a good yarn and everyone feels good, and we walk away, and then what? Nothing happens? No, we've got to have things happening during the program. So we have the discussions, we have the conversations, we have the challenges. We don't necessarily solve every problem, but whatever it is, we go away and we're doing something. It's writing an article, it's putting together a pitch, whatever it is. And that tangible nature of the outcome is what helps people to continue, because they need to be able to see it and feel it and touch it and write, and then they feel that they are part of that process, and they're co-creating, and they are working and developing something. Without that aspect of them coming in and doing the work, then it's just like a conference presentation. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Okay, so you can hear my cat. My cat just came in.
Not
So
not that
anyway,
loud, actually.
not that loud. Okay, I could hear her. She's like, I think she's probably asking for food. So on my side, I think what I would like our next conversation to be um, is to really look into this, right? Like, what are the outcomes we want to pin them on, like the homework part, like what can we get them to do within that reasonable amount of time that we give them, because it's going to be 4 weeks. What can they possibly come up with that is good enough for them to kickstart this process for themselves?
So were you saying, I wasn't sure whether that's what you were saying, but that could be the
Mm,
subject of the next video, is that we
mm.
talk about those deliverables, like we give them the specifics. These are some of the things you're going to be able to walk away with. So it's a bit of a teaser, and then maybe the following session could be, this is how we're going to work towards those things.
Yeah,
I
we
did
already
not
have
intend
our
to create
next.
that. I did not intend to create that plan, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
you see,
planning
you
went
see
into that.
that okay. So this is the other thing that I always love about having conversations with people. Sometimes we get into our own head so much, we overthink stuff, right? That sometimes we need to have a conversation with another person. So when we verbalize our thoughts, someone can chime in with some suggestions, ideas, and pick up on those points. I I did not expect that, Rowena. Honestly, I was like, okay, you're gonna ask me something really hard, and I can't answer. But I just thought that, yeah, just to give them something, right? To give them an expectations of what it is they're going to get in the program. And yeah, so if
Why
this
not?
is the program, yeah, why not? I mean, we're building
Plus,
it
we're
as we're
like on
going along.
video, so move quickly.
Well, no, this could actually be an audio. This could be on my podcast, right? So it doesn't have to be video. Okay, so either way. So the other part is also, well, when we are doing this together, I think it's more fun. And at the same time, we get to show people what's coming up and what's, the next thing that we're doing. So if you ever want to emulate stuff like that, go ahead. Emulate. If you feel like this word emulating, you can go ahead and emulate this. But this is really a work in progress. This is a project in progress. We're talking about it
Absolutely.
even
Yep.
as we are working on it.
Working on it.
So if you believe that this is something that you're excited to be part of and you want to join us, you can contact either myself or Rowena, find us on LinkedIn, send us a DM, let us know that yes, you're interested, and please keep you updated when the actual program is ready
Yeah,
to be
absolutely.
launched. Yeah.
And no
Yeah. So,
commitment, you know what I mean? Like don't feel
yeah,
like, you're gonna be sucked in or
you're
whatever.
obligated.
You're
Yeah.
just you're just indicating your interest and we'd love to hear from you either way.
Yeah. So, with that, we have come to the conclusion of our first live behind the scenes talking about the work that we are doing while we are doing the work. So, how do you feel, Rowena?
I feel good. I feel good actually.
Okay. Okay. So, this is actually
This
great.
felt so effortless and there was a
Yeah.
certain flow to things.
Hmm.
I wasn't quite sure, I was thinking there might be pauses, maybe a bit of awkwardness, but there was a certain flow. So that was great.
Yeah. So for those who are listening or watching, I guess you just have to stay tuned to part two, right?
Yes,
Part
sir.
two to
Part
find out
two.
what's coming up and where you can dig deeper into the stuff that's going to come your way.
Absolutely. Till the next one then.